Jackson's misfires. On January 30th, 1835, a mentally ill house painter named Richard Lawrence approached President Andrew Jackson at the Capitol building, pulled out two pistols, and fired at point-blank range. Both guns misfired. Lawrence stood there with two useless weapons while the 67-year-old Jackson, furious and armed with a walking cane, proceeded to beat the hell out of him until bystanders pulled the president off his would-be assassin. Lincoln's fatal night. Abraham Lincoln was watching a play at Ford's Theater on April 14th, 1865, when John Wilkes Booth walked into the presidential box and shot him in the back of the head with a small pistol. The bullet entered behind Lincoln's left ear and lodged behind his right eye. He never regained consciousness and died the next morning at 7:22. Booth jumped from the box onto the stage, breaking his leg in the process, and escaped into the night. Garfield's long death. Charles Guiteau shot President Garfield at a train station in Washington in 1881. The bullet lodged somewhere in his back but didn't kill him outright. What followed was 79 days of doctors poking around inside him with unsterilized instruments, trying to find that bullet. They never got it out. Most historians think the infection from all that prodding killed him, not the actual gunshot wound. McKinley in Buffalo. On September 6, 1901, President William McKinley stood shaking hands at a reception inside the Temple of Music in Buffalo, New York. A man named Leon Czolgosz waited in line with a handkerchief wrapped around his right hand, hiding a .32 caliber revolver. When Czolgosz reached the front, he fired twice at point-blank range into McKinley's abdomen. The president died 8 days later from gangrene spreading through the bullet wounds. Teddy's bull moose. In 1912, a guy named John Schrank shot Theodore Roosevelt right in the chest at a campaign event in Milwaukee. The bullet went through Roosevelt's steel eyeglass case in his folded-up 50-page speech before lodging in his chest muscle. Roosevelt checked himself, saw he wasn't coughing blood, and figured his lung was fine. He went ahead and delivered his speech anyway, a full 90 minutes, telling the crowd he'd just been shot and showing them his blood-stained shirt. Only after finishing did he let doctors take a look. FDR's close call. Giuseppe Zangara almost changed American history in Miami back in 1933. He fired 5 shots at President-elect Franklin Roosevelt from just 25 feet away, but missed every single one because a woman in the crowd grabbed his arm. The bullets hit 5 other people instead. Chicago Mayor Anton Cermak caught one in the chest and died 3 weeks later. Roosevelt wasn't even scratched. Truman's Blair House. In 1950, while the White House was being gutted for renovations, Truman stayed at Blair House across the street. 2 Puerto Rican nationalists tried to shoot their way in to kill him. The gunfight lasted about 3 minutes. A Secret Service agent died protecting the entrance, and one of the attackers was killed. Truman was upstairs taking a nap and came out onto the balcony to see what was happening before agents pulled him back inside. JFK in Dallas. On November 22, 1963, Lee Harvey Oswald fired a rifle from the 6th floor of the Texas School Book Depository as President Kennedy's motorcade passed through Dealey Plaza in Dallas. He hit Kennedy twice, one shot going through the neck and the fatal one striking the back of the head. The president was rushed to Parkland Hospital, but doctors couldn't save him. He was pronounced dead about 30 minutes after being shot. Ford's 2 weeks. September 1975 was a rough month for Gerald Ford. 2 women tried to kill him in California within 17 days of each other. First was Lynette Fromm, a follower of Charles Manson, who pointed a gun at him in Sacramento, but it didn't fire because she forgot to chamber a round. Then Sarah Jane Moore took a shot in San Francisco, but a bystander grabbed her arm and the bullet missed Ford's head by about 5 feet. Reagan's near miss. On March 30th, 1981, John Hinckley Jr. fired 6 shots at Ronald Reagan outside the Washington Hilton. 1 bullet hit the armored limo, ricocheted, and entered Reagan's chest under his left arm. It stopped about an inch from his heart. Reagan didn't even realize he'd been shot at first. He thought a Secret Service agent broke his rib, shoving him into the car. Emergency surgery saved his life. Bush Sr.'s Kuwait plot. In April 1993, George H.W. Bush visited Kuwait to celebrate the coalition victory in the Gulf War. Before he arrived, Kuwaiti intelligence arrested a group of men who had allegedly been sent by Saddam Hussein to kill the former president with a car bomb. The Kuwaitis seized the vehicle, which was reportedly packed with explosives and equipped with a remote detonator. Bush never knew he was in danger until after the plot was broken up. Clinton's plane plan. In 1994, a guy named Frank Corder stole a small Cessna plane and flew it straight at the White House in the middle of the night. He crashed onto the South Lawn and died on impact. Clinton wasn't even there. He was staying at Blair House across the street during renovations. 2 years later, authorities uncovered a separate plot in Manila where terrorists planned to hijack a plane and crash it into the White House. Bush Jr.'s grenade. On May 10, 2005, a guy named Vladimir Aratunian chucked a live Soviet-era hand grenade at President George W. Bush during a speech in Tbilisi, Georgia. The grenade landed about 100 feet away from Bush, wrapped in a red tartan handkerchief to conceal it. It didn't go off. The firing pin malfunctioned because the handkerchief was wrapped too tight around it, which kept the lever from releasing properly when it landed. Obama's rifle shots. In November 2011, Oscar Ramiro Ortega Hernandez parked his car near the White House, aimed a semi-automatic rifle, and fired at least 7 shots at the building. The Obamas weren't home at the time, but one bullet struck a window of the family residence on the second floor, while another hit the exterior of the building. Secret Service initially dismissed the gunfire as gang activity or a backfiring vehicle. It took 4 days before agents discovered the bullet damage and connected it to the shooting. Trump's Butler Rally. On July 13, 2024, Thomas Matthew Crooks climbed onto a roof about 130 yards from the stage where Trump was speaking at a rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. He fired multiple shots with an AR-style rifle. One bullet grazed Trump's ear, leaving him bloodied but alive. Another killed a man in the crowd named Corey Compratore, and 2 more people were seriously injured. Secret Service countersnipers spotted Crooks and shot him dead within seconds of his first shot.